I'm delighted to introduce our session speakers. We have Courtney Christensen and Shayna Diamond, who co-founded the organization Shift Enter to provide educational and career development resources in a welcoming and inclusive environment for the burgeoning technical workforce in our area. So Shayna has an eye for diamonds in the rough, and as a rock hound, she saw the value of the many facets of Shift Enter before most others did. She's also the ideal co-founder because she has web skills, drive, and unwavering optimism. She's been developing websites in the Charlottesville area since 2015, and by day, she's a website administrator for a national healthcare innovation company. Courtney works as an engineering manager for Linden Lab and volunteers to make Seville and tech sector better. During her time in tech leadership and local volunteering, Courtney noticed a need to help people build the skills to apply for jobs and a need for a way to let employers and job seekers find each other. And that grew into Shift Enter. So thank you both for bringing us this session today. I'm sure everybody's excited to get started, maybe a little nervous, but probably very excited. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Career Conversations at the CWIT Summit. I am Shayna. I am the co-host of this panel and co-founder of Shift Enter.
And I am Courtney. I'm the other co-host and the other co-founder. We founded Shift Enter because we saw a need for career support for the Charlottesville tech industry. There are so many tech companies in our area, and I can barely remember them most of the time. These days, all tech jobs are remote, so any tech company you might want to work for, you can do it from our area pretty much.
There are also so many brilliant people to do all these tech jobs that we formed Shift Enter to help job seekers and employers find each other and to give technologists the practice and the confidence that we need in order to make it through the tech interview process.
Shift Enter offers approximately quarterly job seeker workshops to carry out this mission. These workshops have a mock interview section that's going to be similar to today's workshop, except in a longer one-on-one format, and with our wonderful volunteers who are hiring managers and CTOs at some of Charlottesville's top tech employers. Our next job seekers workshop is January 23rd, and tickets are available. And we also hold monthly meetup series called ALT, or Always Learning Tech, where we talk about various career development issues and other technical topics. Our next ALT talk is about improving hiring practices, and it's on November 18th. You can RSVP for free through our meetup.
So today we're going to role play some of those tough career conversations we all face. Things like asking for a raise or a promotion, or giving constructive criticism to a colleague, or letting a team member know that they probably don't want to joke like that. We want this workshop to be helpful for you, so we'd like to role play topics that you request.
One of the things that we talked about beforehand was sometimes you're surprised by something a colleague says, and you need a little bit of time to process it. Sometimes you just want to say no in a work polite way, but sometimes you're just kind of taken off guard and you need a little bit of time. So, Shayna, what are a couple of ways to buy yourself time in a work appropriate way?
So I am relatively low level management at my job. So I have the fabulous out of, I'm going to need to follow up with you. I'm going to need to check with somebody and follow up with you on that, which is great because not only does it mean that I've bought time, at least a day, to talk to somebody else, but I've also removed a little bit of the responsibility from the potentially negative answer from my shoulders. And then when I have to say no, they know that it was not a knee-jerk reaction and it was not necessarily in my control.
On my team, sometimes I actually model saying, I don't know. because I am an engineering manager for my team, but even as an individual contributor, I liked to try and say I don't know when that was the case, because I want to be on a team that it's psychologically safe to say I don't know. Um, and also, then when I do give an answer, you aren't guessing whether it's hot air or not, because you know that I'll say I don't know when I don't know.
That's really great. That's valuable.
I wonder if one thing you could do for us is model that negotiation for that we were talking about in the first section.
You know,
So maybe you two could take on those roles and go through a little negotiation phase so that we can see it in action.
sure, we can try. Yeah. Shanna, do you want to be the job seeker or the employer?
Oh, I don't know. Flip a coin. You got a coin handy?
You know, I forgot to print out the boss employee signs that I wanted us to have.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
How about you're the boss and I'll be negotiating? Okay, so I'm really excited about the offer with your company. From what I hear about Shift Enter, it's a great place to work and I love the mission, but I'm a little bit concerned about total compensation. Um, I am afraid that at a mission-driven place like that, I could um, really get sucked into working all the time, and I need to make sure that my family is well taken care of.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate your enthusiasm for our mission. And I want to assure you that we do not, for the most part, work beyond our regular working hours. We really do value work-life balance. Everybody on our team does. We all have lives outside of work. So we offer a competitive vacation plan, and we encourage you to use those days to manage your personal life and to have time to spend with your family and in those regards.
While I'm looking at the total compensation package, and what you've said about work-life balance and vacation is excellent. I can't not also look at the salary. And I know that Shift Enter is a nonprofit and it has an extremely important mission. But I need to make a living wage in the Charlottesville area. So what kind of pay bands do you think that we're looking at?
So this is stepping out of my role play for a moment. This is tricky because we don't actually have, you haven't given me a number. I don't know what salary we've started with in our situation. In your mind, is there a number that you've already heard that you're not comfortable with, or are you just anticipating a low number?
I am assuming that we've had a verbal offer and there's been no number stated. So I'm trying to get to a number without being the first one to say one.
All right. I think also for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to use variables for numbers, if that's all right. So let's say that I'll say that we are, and let's go with A being like, we want you to work for free, and Z being we're offering you $1 million a year. So somewhere in between there, we're anticipating being able to, we have the capacity to offer you P dollars a year at this point. And we're hoping that that is going to work for you.
I think that P dollars sounds pretty competitive with the market in our area, especially for a small nonprofit that doesn't actually employ anyone.
Wonderful. Then I hope that we can get that letter in writing and email to you shortly and get that signed in return.
Thank you. Yeah, I do need to just check over everything. So I would like at least until Monday to read over the package. but I anticipate being able to sign it, and I look forward to being able to work
Monday
with you.
sounds terrific. And if you do run into any questions or anything that surprises you as you look over the package, I doubt you will. I feel confident that we're offering a really good compensation package. But if you do have any questions, please come to me with them rather than dismiss them and assume that nothing is negotiable.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was great. So what have you seen in the work that you do as being the things that really trip people up? And is there something you could choose from that to show us an example conversation?
As a manager, I've had a couple of employees that I needed to encourage towards greater efforts. And that is an extremely hard conversation for a manager, especially for a first-time manager. So Shayna, if you don't mind being my low performer. All right. Shayna, I've asked you to this meeting. I know it's outside of our normal one-on-one time, but I've got a couple of concerns with your work product.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I realize on our team that we don't have specific point targets for any individuals, but I don't know if you've noticed that your feature tickets remain open longer than the rest of the
I
team.
get really hard tickets. I don't think that's fair.
Well, you know that you can ask for help from me or any of your team members, and I don't see that you doing that on a regular basis.
I don't think I really need help. I just need more time to get things done.
Well, what can we do that would help you to be a faster developer? I think that moving forward in your career, you're going to need to be able to process requirements into code a little bit faster than you're doing right now. So do you need any kind of training to be more up to date on the tools that we use or the programming language that we're using?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I know what I'm doing. It just takes time. So I didn't know that you didn't think I was doing good enough or fast enough or whatever. So I don't know. I'll try.
Okay, well, how about this? Let's check back in 2 weeks, and if your speed for closing feature requests has improved, then that's great. And it's just that you needed to know that speed was important on our team. But if it doesn't seem like your speed has improved in those 2 weeks, then let's brainstorm some additional ways that we can help unblock you so that you can get code through at a more equitable rate to your teammates.
Yeah, all right. Whatever.
Oh, you're being a really recalcitrant employee for this one, aren't you?
Was that too hard?
No, I've kind of had people like that. So then we'll check back in 2 weeks. Let's pretend it's 2 weeks. Okay, Shayna, how do you think you did over the last 2 weeks?
Well, I closed those 3 tickets that had been pending for a while. Was that good? Was that good enough?
It was better. I would love to see you take a more active role in choosing tickets for yourself and moving forward. So what problems did you have in getting those 3 tickets closed this week?
I don't know. I don't really feel like I had problems.
Okay, well, I could see that we talked about a solution to one of your tickets as a team during huddle on Thursday. And when your solution came in for review, it didn't appear to take into account the discussion that we had as a team on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was just kind of maybe a suggestion, like one way I could take things, and I decided to go another way.
While I appreciate that kind of initiative, and normally things are a suggestion, your way seems a bit less efficient than the one that we talked about as a group.
Okay. You want me to redo it?
I don't want you to redo it now as it's working, but I would like to see you take the suggestions that your team members give you in the future.
All right. I can do that.
Okay. Let's keep having these extra one-on-one check-ins every couple of weeks, and I'd like you to keep an eye towards things that are keeping you from being the best developer you can be. And I'd love to have you bring something like that to me next time.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
One of the things that I struggled with a lot as a freelancer, and when we polled, we did a little poll on our Slack team to ask for starter questions in case we had an audience that was feeling shy and did not want to role play their own questions, we would have some fodder to work from. So when I was freelancing, and this again came up a lot in our poll, there were often clients that were just more difficult to work with than the work was worth to me as a freelance worker, where for various reasons, I just couldn't continue to support this client. And so firing a client is one of those really, really difficult conversations to have. And this can take place either as a freelancer or at an agency if you work with a vendor or a company that you need to stop doing business with. Saying, I can't work with you anymore is something we have struggled with. So
do I get to be a difficult client? You do get to
be a difficult client. So,
all right. So I know that, Shayna, we talked about having this website in blue, but my kid showed me this really cool sparkly graphic on their page, and I think that would make an awesome background graphic. Can we change that? And also the date format on all of the pages. You know, I've just decided that I like Euro style date formats better. Yeah, can we change the feed order? I think I need the We're Really Awesome post to be sticky at the top, and then like we'll have every Monday's post stay in the role.
Actually, Courtney, I'm gonna cut you off for a moment there, and I can see you've got a whole list of updates that you want to provide for us. However, before we get too deep into anything, I just need to let you know that we're not going to be able to continue to support your website at this time. The scope of the project has grown since our first conversation a few months back, and my little one-person shop is just not equipped to handle the volume of requests that you've got. I put together a short list of other companies that have a few more resources at their disposal that I think will be able to serve you better than I can right now. I know, I really like you personally, and I have enjoyed working on your project. But at this point, I don't think I can do these changes for you in a reasonable time frame, and it's just not fair to you for us to keep working together.
But we have a contract.
We do, but we've already gone way outside the bounds of that contract. So from my perspective, after we did the third round of edits, when the contract said we would do 2, by then we were already off contract. So I don't feel an obligation to continue to meet these requests. If I was not already at capacity with the work that I'm doing, I would propose an alternative contract that allowed more flexibility for some of these requests that you've been sending me over the last few weeks. But the truth is, I don't have the capacity for that. So the best I can do is to suggest you work with somebody with more capacity. I don't think that a small institution like mine is going to be able to meet your needs.
Okay, but you'll introduce me to the top couple people on your
Yes,
list?
absolutely. I wanted to have this conversation with you first, and then I will send out an email to you and each of 3 different people I've chosen that I think could serve you better. And you can have meetings with them and see what they can offer you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See, that wasn't nearly as painful as it was in real life.
Yeah. So could you just dissect a little bit the conversation you just had and let us know what were the things that you think were particularly important to do or bring up?
Yeah, so I think that it was great that Courtney mentioned that we had a contract, and because this is role playing, I just decided we had already broken the contract. But it is really important as a freelancer to have a contract. And yes, sometimes we all go beyond the scope of the contract, but we need to know when we've done that so that we can lean on that later if we need to. And really, if she had not gone beyond the scope of the contract, I would not necessarily be in a position to be able to fire her as a client. I also think that when you're telling somebody you can't work with them anymore, it's really important to try to provide alternatives to them, that you're not throwing them out to dry. Partly, in this scenario as a freelancer, I don't want to get a reputation where Courtney goes out, has drinks with a friend and is complaining about this awful service I did. And then a month later, that person wants a website. They're not going to approach me. But if she's able to say, I got her started, I built her site, but then when it came to maintenance, I offloaded her to another agency, at least it doesn't leave quite as foul a taste in your mouth as leaving them hanging dry. Now, I may, as a freelancer, I said I was going to send letters of introduction and say, hi, Jane, I'm no longer able to work with Courtney, but I think that you might be able to. I'm going to say that publicly. I might also send Jane a personal email that Courtney wouldn't know about saying, this is a very high demand client. She will ask for things outside of the scope of work. So you might want to make sure that that's accounted for, because I also have a reputation as somebody who refers clients. And I want to make sure that, my theoretical Jane, who I've referred Courtney to, doesn't hate me for it later because I didn't warn her that Courtney will blow up her email at midnight with things she thinks can be done by noon. Yeah.
I think it's also important to, in the firing the client position, to take a breath, because those clients can be really frustrating, and you don't want to make that call or send that email in the heat of a moment when you are super frustrated with the umpteenth request they have made for tweaking the hex color code on their link, whatevers.
Yeah. I also noticed Courtney started the conversation with a whole list of requests which deviated from what we were originally doing. And I didn't address any of them specifically because I already knew I did not want to work with her anymore. So I didn't want to engage her in a conversation about why some of those were really bad ideas. It would just add more negativity to the conversation. If I did want to keep working with you, I might have said something about how sparkly background images like that can be seizure triggers for anybody with epilepsy, or whatever else issues I might have had with those requests.
Right. So I have a question that, again, this relates a little bit to the keynote session, and then a little bit the panel that we heard earlier. But if someone is in a position of feeling like they can contribute to an organization and feels passionate about what that organization wants to do, but maybe they don't see a job offer or a job a posting that identically matches their experience. Is there a conversation that they could have with someone at that organization, either someone in leadership or the HR team or something, to see if there are opportunities that aren't advertised or to take it to another level?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the organization. It seems like the bigger the organizations are, the more process they've got in place. And the more process they've got in place, the more married to that process they are. But if you find the right advocate and you make the right pitch, a lot of organizations, even large ones, will potentially make a position for you. I think this year, while everybody is trying to sit on whatever nest egg they've got left, that might not be the best time. Depends on the company. There are a few companies that are actually seeing growth because their product enables healthcare or remote life. So they may still be places that you can negotiate for a position for yourself. It's again harder this year because of the remote nature of life, but people like to talk about themselves. So if you invite somebody from a company that you really like out for coffee in order to hear more about what that company is like and what their day-to-day work is like, they're probably pretty likely to take you up on that offer. I've done that same thing a few times with Zoom coffee, and it works, but just not quite as well. And everybody's sick of Zoom, so. But how about you, Shana? Do you have
I
any
would
thoughts on
add
that?
to that if you two pieces. One is that if you have done something which would be interesting to that company. Like I work at a healthcare company, a healthcare technology and innovation pipeline company. So if somebody came to me through ShiftEnter or elsewhere and said, I'm a data scientist who works with data healthcare, and I built this neat modeling thing for COVID. Could you show this to data people at your company? And maybe they'll be interested in this. I would really love to work for Premier. I would definitely, that would make it a lot easier for me. I'm not in a position to hire a data analyst, but you present me with something really neat that you've done that shows you've got skills and passion. Really easy for me to find someone to put that in front of and say, hey, look what this person did. Don't you think they'd be an asset to our team? So doing passion projects and sharing those, I think, will help. And then try to find a person-to-person connection. As Courtney said, doing the can I buy you coffee and pick your brain is a great way in the real life world. In this digital remote world, showing up at some of the digital networking events where you, and hopefully where somebody from the company you're targeting is, or contacting anybody at the company who you know at any level. Connect with them on LinkedIn and then post an article or share an article they've shared, react to it, and try to get that engagement so that when they see your email saying, I would love to come work on your team at this company, they already know you as part of their, fan base on LinkedIn or something like that. It breeds familiarity.
Along those lines, I had an opening that we were hiring for earlier this year. And I know cover letters were mentioned in that last session. I had a candidate who applied for my position, and they were not qualified for my position, but their cover letter was so passionate about the company that not only did I forward their resume and cover letter on to a peer hiring manager that didn't currently have any openings. Later, when they did have openings for a contractor, I checked back in to make sure that they had considered that candidate because of the level of passion for our company that they had.
Oh, that's great.
So.
Do you have any advice to people who are just entering the industry, so they may not have the portfolio of things to show somebody, but they have an interest and they're trying to get into the industry. Any thoughts on how their conversation should go?
Network is the first thing I'll say. Show that passion and show that you are interested and willing to learn. And don't discount what feels like unrelated experience, which is something we do frequently, and not realizing that you know a lot more about websites than you think you do because you navigate them all the time. So you know a lot about what a good user experience is because you've experienced it. So yeah, what question should we role play for that one?
I also, even though I've been in the industry for a long time, I didn't have GitHub in college. It wasn't a thing, and or at least it wasn't a mainstream thing. Most of the companies I've worked for, the code I've worked on has been proprietary and closed source. And I am past the time where I want to spend tons of time writing coding projects at home. So I don't have a portfolio that I can show anybody either. They can talk to people I've worked with. So it's not totally a foregone conclusion that if you don't have a full GitHub, that you're not going to get a job. Definitely reaching out to people, using your network, anybody in the industry that you want to talk to, you can try and email them and ask them questions and what the best way to talk to them is. But yeah, selfishly, Shana and I can always pitch Shift Enter, that you should come join the Shift Enter Slack community or come to one of our events for networking, because we are targeting non-traditional technology job seekers and inactive technology job seekers. I don't know, shifters and re-enterers of the technology job seeker stream.
Said selfishly, so. But I gotta say it's selflessly, because we don't really benefit from having more people in Shift Enter. We just get to help more people if more people are part of Shift Enter.
Could you maybe do someone in the chat said that they would enjoy seeing a role play topic on a relevant experience, and just curious if the person who said that in the chat wants to participate in that role play. If so, you can.
Marguerite, we'll let you off the hook.
So maybe you two could do a role play on that topic.
I'll
Shannon,
be
do you want to be
the candidate, because this was actually not. This is a position I was in not that many years ago. Coming from a non-tech background to trying to get a job as a developer.
So I can see from your resume that you owned and operated your own jewelry business for years before taking classes as a web developer?
I spent about 7 years working full-time for myself as a jeweler artist.
So what makes you think you could be a web developer on our team? What kind of skills do you think transfer?
Well, you had mentioned in the job description that this is a role that requires a lot of teamwork and working directly with clients. So that is something I have done pretty continuously, whether it was through teaching jewelry making workshops or selling at live events across the country. I have had to interact with the public and talk to them about, it's still a form of technology, I guess, when we talk about different tools or different stones or properties of stones that they wouldn't be familiar with. And I've had excellent success breaking down the scientific end of things into layman's terms and helping my clientele understand that. I think I could do the same with the web technology that I have learned more recently.
Tell me about a time that you have had to take a client's request and turn it into a
sure.
product.
That happens a lot because I do a fair amount of custom work as a jeweler. And every once in a while, I'll get a really out of the blue request that's not something I'd ever expected. I used to do a Renaissance festival fairly regularly, and I had made a pendant and a pair of earrings for this woman previously. And she came to me with photographs of a hair piece. It's one of those swirly metal pieces that you put over a bun and put a stick through it. I'd never made something like that before, but she showed me these pictures of this big hammered copper hair piece. Nothing I'd ever done before. And I don't do hammering and I don't do copper. It was, and she said she knew that, but she wanted something that matched the necklace I had made her, that she could wear in her hair for this special event she was going to. So I kind of figured it out. I spent some time experimenting with some cheap base metal and then switched to the silver that matched her pendant and incorporated some stones that matched her pendant, and came up with something that I felt captured the spirit of the photograph she'd shown me. I sent her pictures and she was really happy with the pictures, and so I was able to send her the finished piece.
That sounds like
it was.
Really
I really
experience.
like being able to take a client's request and build something that they're looking for, even if, especially sometimes if it's something I've never done before. It's a great way to grow.
What kinds of things do you do to make sure you understand a client's request?
I ask a lot of questions. How large is this? It's different in the digital world, of course, but in the tactile world of jewelry, I say, it looks from this photograph like that clip is probably between 3 and 4 inches in diameter and mostly round, although not a perfect circle. Is that what you're looking for? Or what elements of this piece are you most attracted to? And so that I get a sense of whether if it really was the hammered copper or if it was the swirls and the flowy nature of it. So I would use those kinds of questions to get a better sense of what they're looking for.
That sounds great. Yeah, we have to talk to our clients and make sure we actually understand what they want all the time.
Yeah, one person's version of pink is pale pink rose quartz, and the other person wants a hot pink rhodochrosite, and pink doesn't tell you enough.
Excellent. I think we're probably
Shana,
close to time.
I don't know if you've been in jewelry before, but if not, you have a very convincing performance.
That was exactly what I was doing. I before I studied web development, I did spend really almost 10 years driving around the country selling jewelry and gemstones.
I gotcha. Well, yes, it's getting close to time, but I want to thank you both, Shana and Courtney, for your time today and for the great conversations that you've had. And of course, these are recorded so other people will be able to look at them later. And thank you for everybody who joined the session. Day one is now coming to a close. We love having everybody here, although of course we wish we were all in person.